Have you ever realized that silence can be louder than words? That sometimes the strongest voice in the room is the one that doesn't need to speak? What if the power you've been chasing wasn't found in proving yourself, defending yourself, or shouting back, but in staying still, grounded, and unshaken? And what if the secret to peace, clarity, and unstoppable growth wasn't in the noise around you, but in the silence within you? Let me tell you something that took me years to truly understand. Silence is not weakness. Silence is evidence of strength. In a world that constantly glorifies noise, endless talking, endless posting, endless proving, silence is rebellion. It is wisdom. It is power under control. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to answer every critic. You don't need to raise your voice to prove your point. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply keep walking quietly, confidently, and with unshakable focus. Because there's a unique quietness that comes when your confidence no longer depends on applause or opinions. When you know who you are, you stop chasing validation. You stop feeling the need to explain yourself, to defend your worth, to broadcast your every move. Silence isn't avoidance. Silence is discipline. It's choosing not to waste your energy on battles that don't matter. Not every argument deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves a response. Some conflicts are nothing more than distractions sent to pull you off course. I used to believe silence made me look weak, like I was surrendering my power by not speaking up. But I've come to realize the truth. It takes far more strength to hold your peace than it does to argue with fools. The strongest people don't always shout. They let their life do the talking. Their results, their progress, their peace, that becomes their loudest message. And silence is more than an action. It's a posture of trust. Every time you hold your tongue and refuse to waste energy on meaningless battles, you're declaring, God, I trust you to defend me. I trust you to fight for me. I trust you to handle what I cannot. Sometimes, the reason your breakthrough is delayed is not because God isn't moving, but because you're still fighting battles that aren't even yours to fight. Think about Jesus for a moment. The Son of God, the one who held all authority in his hands, stood before rulers, leaders, and false accusers. They mocked him, spat on him, twisted his words, and hurled lies at him. And yet, in the face of it all, he stayed silent. He could have defended himself. He could have spoken one word and silenced every critic. He could have called down legions of angels to fight for him. But instead, he chose silence. Why? Because he understood something we often forget. Not every battle deserves your voice. Not every accusation deserves your energy. Not every critic deserves your attention. When you know who you are, you don't need to argue about it. When you're grounded in your identity, you don't need to waste your strength trying to prove it. Jesus didn't need to validate himself to Pilate, to the priests, or to the crowd. His identity was secure in his Father. That's the power of silence. It reveals where your confidence truly lies. If your worth is anchored in God, then the noise around you loses its power. The opinions, the accusations, the misunderstandings, they no longer control you. And here's the truth. Sometimes the loudest answer is no answer at all. Sometimes your silence speaks louder than any defense you could give. Because silence is not the absence of power, it is the evidence of power under control. Some of you need to hear this today. You don't have to respond to every critic. You don't have to clap back at every insult. You don't have to post a response every time someone misrepresents you. In fact, your silence may disturb them more than your words ever could. Jesus showed us that silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is restraint. It is knowing that God Himself is your defender. And when He defends you, no weapon formed against you can prosper. So the next time someone lies about you, mocks you, or misunderstands you, remember Jesus. Remember His silence. Remember that He did not lose anything by keeping quiet. In fact, He won everything. One of the greatest lessons you can learn in life is this: your energy is limited. Every word you speak, every thought you dwell on, every battle you fight, it all costs energy. And if you waste that energy chasing after what people say, you'll have nothing left to build what God has called you to build. That's why focus is priceless. The people who make the greatest impact are not those who argue the loudest, but those who know how to guard their attention. They refuse to get distracted by noise. They refuse to chase validation. Instead, they pour their strength into what matters: growth, purpose, destiny. You see, the enemy doesn't always destroy you with big attacks. Sometimes he destroys you with little distractions. A comment here, a rumor there, a person who doesn't like you, a door that closes. And suddenly you're so busy fighting battles that don't matter that you forget the real mission of your life. But here's the truth: you don't need to prove anything to anyone. The only thing you need to do is become everything God created you to be. Focus on your growth. Focus on your healing. Focus on building your gifts, your vision, your character. Because when you do, your results will speak louder than your words ever could. I once heard someone say, "Success is the best revenge." But for people of faith, it's even deeper than that. Obedience is the best response. Living the life God designed for you, walking in His peace, flourishing in His purpose, that is your loudest answer to anyone who ever doubted you. Think about the eagle. While smaller birds waste their energy chattering, fighting, and flapping around for attention, the eagle soars higher silently above the storm. The eagle doesn't need to scream, it rises. That's what you are called to do. Every time you choose silence over argument, every time you choose focus over distraction, every time you choose peace over drama, you are rising. You are saying with your actions, "I don't need to prove myself. My life will prove itself." So stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop draining your spirit, trying to be seen, trying to be liked, trying to be accepted. Focus on yourself. Grow in silence. Build in silence. Heal in silence. Because when the time is right, God Himself will reveal you. Silence is not just about ignoring the noise. It's also about learning to wait. And waiting is one of the hardest disciplines for the chosen ones. We live in a world that glorifies speed. Everyone wants instant recognition, instant validation, instant results. But God doesn't work on man's timeline. He works on His own. And His timing is always perfect. When you rush to prove yourself, when you push to be seen, you may step outside of God's will. But when you wait, when you stay silent, stay faithful, and stay focused, you position yourself for God to reveal you at the right moment. Look at Joseph again. He had a dream as a teenager, but he didn't step into the palace until years later. In between, he faced betrayal, slavery, false accusations, and prison. Through it all, he didn't waste his energy fighting his brothers, proving himself to Potiphar, or defending himself to Pharaoh's officials. He stayed faithful. And when the time was right, God elevated him from the prison to the palace in a single day. That's what happens when you wait on God. Your silence becomes your preparation. Your hidden season becomes your training ground. And when the door finally opens, no one can deny the hand of God on your life. The Bible says in Psalm 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is not inactivity, it is trust. It's declaring with your posture, "God, I don't need to force this. I don't need to fight for attention. I trust you to place me where I belong." Some of you are frustrated because people are overlooking you. They don't recognize your value. They underestimate your gifts. But let me remind you, when God decides it's your time, no person, no system, no enemy can stop him from lifting you up. Think of David. He was anointed as king but sent back to the fields. Overlooked, forgotten, rejected by his own family. Yet when the time came, God himself pulled him from obscurity and set him on the throne. Silence in your hidden season is not wasted. It is building patience, resilience, and character. It is preparing you for the weight of what's coming. Because when God elevates you, the foundation must be strong enough to carry the blessing. So don't despise the waiting. Don't rush the process. Don't break your silence just to prove yourself. Let God do the revealing. Let him open the doors. Let him exalt you in his timing. Because when he does, your life will shout louder than your words ever could. At the end of the day, silence is not weakness. It is strategy. It is wisdom. It is strength under control. You don't need to respond to every voice. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. The people who doubt you will see in time. The critics who mock you will be silenced by your results. The enemies who thought they buried you will have to watch you bloom. Because when you stay silent and focus on yourself, you're not just avoiding distractions, you're building something greater. You're pouring your energy into growth, into healing, into purpose. You're allowing God to shape you in the hidden place so that when the moment comes, you're ready. Silence is trust. Silence is saying, "Lord, I don't need to defend myself. You are my defender. I don't need to chase attention. You are my promoter. I don't need to rush. Your timing is perfect." And here's the truth. One day, your silence will speak louder than all the noise that ever surrounded you. Your peace will be your testimony. Your progress will be your proof. Your life will be your loudest response. So don't break your silence just to be heard. Don't lose your focus just to be seen. Don't rush the process just to be validated. Stay grounded. Stay focused. Stay silent. Because when God finally reveals you, no one will be able to deny what he has done in your life. So rise above the noise. Let your silence carry strength. Let your focus shape your destiny. And let your life declare the truth that your words never had to prove. You are chosen. You are called. You are enough.